Okay, now I'm ready. Turn on my clock. But I think today we will start standing. Just kind of feel your foundation in your feet. You can close your eyes so that you're really just feeling your body from the inside out. Just kind of notice your energy, your natural posture, and see if you can be really intentional and feeling your foundation. Kind of rock some weight around in your feet. Play with your toes. Maybe ground through your big toe, lift your little toes. And then ground through your little toes, lift your big toes. A couple of times. Maybe lift all 10 of your toes and feel the connection of the big toe ball mound, pinky toe ball mound, center of the heel of each of your feet. And then let your toes come down. And then feel energy draw up both of your legs. Not in a way that's really rigid, but you can just feel those muscles turn on. You can slightly lift your kneecaps with your quadricep muscles. And then find some really subtle movement of your pelvis, just forward and back. So you're not rigid through your feet and legs, but you are active. And notice how changing the anterior tilt or posterior tilt of your pelvis changes what's happening in your legs and your feet. And see if you can even let those pelvic rocks get bigger and bigger and feel what happens with your belly and your rib cage. So maybe as you really tuck your tailbone under, you can feel those front muscles of your lower belly turn on. And as you send your tailbone back, just notice what happens in your lower back and your ribs. And see if you can find a really supported neutral place there. So not over exaggeration of tucking your tailbone, not really sending your pubic bone back, but just finding a nice balanced place for the bowl of your pelvis. And then just take your rib cage and shift it from side to side. And just think of it just kind of sliding on a shelf from side to side, just moving your thoracic spine, sliding that rib cage from side to side over that supported and stable pelvis. And then find a neutral place. Shrug your shoulders up towards your ears and then roll them back. Just find a few circles of your shoulders. And all the while being conscious of that foundation in your feet. Maybe switch directions of your shoulders. And then find a place where your lower ribs are softening down, but you can feel broad through your collarbones. And then let your palms face forward and be pretty active through your hands. Tuck your chin and then just drift one ear to a shoulder. Come back through center and drift the other ear to the other shoulder. Back and forth there. Keeping that activity through your hands and some breadth in your collarbones. Front low ribs still softening down. And if you want, you can start to make these half circles into full circles. Just even yourself out from one direction to the other. And then find a place for your neutral neck and head. Just stack your ears right over your shoulders. Let the back of your neck be long, collarbones broad, active through your arms, front ribs soften down, neutral pelvis. So think of that space from your pubic bone to your tailbone parallel with the floor. And supportive, active legs on really grounded feet. And then you can gently bring your awareness to your breath and expand your rib cage in 360 degrees. And just take 2 more slow, conscious breaths there. And notice how it brings more stability to your body. If your eyes are closed, you can gently open, relax through your hands. And we'll just start with some shoulder cars. So take your right hand and bring your left hand to your lower front ribs. Just reach that right arm up, straight up, and lead with your thumb. Push it back till you can't push it any further. Don't let your ribs splay out. Just try to keep your rib cage neutral. And then you can flip and lead with your pinky and make that circle all the way back. Come down alongside your hip. And then lead with your pinky to come back around. When you can't lead with your pinky anymore, lead with your thumb. And just make these really slow circles and explore the range of motion of your shoulder. Just letting this movement be in your shoulder and not your rib cage or your pelvis or your neck. Let's go back and forth one more time. And when your arm comes forward, just interlace your fingers in front of you. Turn your palms inside out and push your palms away and let your upper back round. You can tuck your chin. You can soften your knees even and let your whole spine round. Sorry, my kitty is so loud this morning. Inhale and reach high. And then side bend over to your right. So this way. And take your left leg behind you and just kind of get a long stretch through the opposite side. And then release your arms, uncross your legs. Hold on to your rib cage with your right hand. And just find those slow circles with your right shoulder. So you'll lead with your thumb till you can't lead with your thumb anymore, and then you'll rotate and lead with your pinky. And lead with your thumb, and then lead with your pinky. Let's do one more, forward and back. And stay connected to your breath. And when your hands get forward, interlace your fingers the unusual way, push your palms away, and let your spine round. You can even soften through your knees and really push your palms away. And then reach high. Cross your right foot behind your left and find a nice big side bend there. And cross your legs. And then take your hands, interlace them behind your back. Draw your elbows toward each other. And then you can bring your arms towards straight. Soften your knees and just let yourself bow. You can stretch your shoulders here, let your head hang. And keep your hands clasped, come up to standing, and just bring your fisted hands outside of your right hip. And then drop your right ear over to your right shoulder. Lift that head, release your hands, stretch high, just kind of notice the difference from one side to the other, and then interlace your fingers the unusual way. Draw those elbows together and keep those low ribs softened down. Find your length through your arms, soften your knees, and let yourself fold. And then come back up. Bring your fisted hands outside of your left hip and drop your left ear toward your left shoulder. And then head up, release your hands, and come to standing. Ground down through your right foot and lift your left knee. And we'll do some hip cars here. So you'll take your knee out to the side and then lead with your heel to bring it back and then bring it back forward. And then we'll switch directions. Push your heel back and then find some external rotation through this hip. Bring your knee out to the side and forward. Just go back and forth, isolating your movement to your hip as much as possible. Your torso can lean. You can kind of stay buoyant through that grounded foot and leg, so you can soften your right knee. And then we'll take a big step back with our left foot and find a high lunge. Just reach your arms high, shoulders out of your ears, and those soft low ribs down. Feel your foundation. So feel your big toe ball mound, pinky toe ball mound, center of your heel on your right foot. And ground through your left big toe ball mound behind you. Just bend your knee to hover above the floor and then come back up. Bend to hover and then come back up. Bend to hover and then come back up. And then just straighten and bend your front leg a couple of times. Release your hands to your hips, and we're going to combine these two movements. So you're bent in your right knee, straight through your left, and then we'll switch. Bend that left knee to hover and straighten through your right leg. Really then push your left heel back as you bend through your right knee. And just feel your strong foundation. You can move slowly. Feel the strength this builds. And then pause in your lunge, ground through your left heel and open up to warrior two. Just enjoy your warrior two. Interlace your fingers in front of you, push your palms away, and then reach those clasped hands up. Again, like we did standing. And then from here, reverse your warrior, and then lean forward into kind of a side angle pose-ish. Just back and forth. Feel the foundation in your feet. Lift through your arches and feel the big toe ball mound, pinky toe ball mound, center of your heel on each foot. After you've leaned forward, come on up, straighten both legs, and then turn toward the long edge of your mat, heels in, toes out, and just find a goddess. Squat down and just come on up. Let's do 4. And think about this line from your head to your tailbone, just going straight down. And then turn and find your high lunge to the other side. And we'll just find a nice big stretch there. And then step to the end of your mat. Reach high. And find a forward fold here. Soften your knees as much as you need to. And then just inhale, halfway lift, exhale to fold. And do that 3 or 4 times. Engaging your back body and then stretching. Engaging through your back body and then letting it lengthen. Come all the way to standing and then ground through your left foot. Lift your right knee up and we'll find our hip circles here. So take that knee straight out to the right and then you'll internally rotate, lead with your heel to lift it behind you. And then come forward and switch. Push your heel back. Externally rotate that knee out to the right and then back to center. Go back and forth with control. And do one more round. And we'll step back into that high lunge. With your left foot forward. And just reach high. And then bend your right knee to hover above the floor. And then straighten. And bend that back knee. And then straighten it. And just move slowly with control. Pause. And then just bend, straighten and bend your front leg. And feel the foundation of that left foot. And then we'll kind of play with that switch off. You can have your hands at your hips. So bend into that left knee, and then straighten your left leg and bend your right. And just go back and forth with control. Let's just do that one more time. Bending that front knee, lengthening that back, and then bending your back knee, lengthening your front. Find your lunge, ground through your right heel. Find your warrior 2. And then interlace your fingers the unusual way. Push your palms away, reach high. And then reverse. And then lean forward. So you're moving through your core. Lift through your left arch and find some engagement through that left glute. And let your left knee kind of track the same direction as your left pinky toe. Ground through your right heel and let that rebound out through the crown of your head. Let's lean forward one more time. And then straighten both legs, release your arms. And then heels and toes out. And just find a few goddess squats here. And think of that plumb line of your spine going straight up and down. Turn back to your right and find a high lunge there. With a little bit of a pause. And then stand up at the top of your mat. Reach high. Fold forward. And then inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. And just let that pulse with your breath. And so turning on that strength of the backs of your legs and then letting it lengthen. Next time, come all the way to standing. And reach your arms high. Exhale, hands to your heart. And sit back in the chair. Ground through your right foot and float your left foot up. Stack your left ankle over your right knee. Just find a figure 4 here. And then uncross it. And we'll just sweep it back behind your right leg and find a little bit of a curtsy squat. You can slide your left foot out to the right and then push through that right heel to come up to standing, and then find your figure 4 again. So just go through those. You'll feel strong through that right leg. Go as fast or as slow as you want. Right, slow and controlled is stronger. Let's end with a figure 4. And just pause. And then we'll uncross that left leg, step back into a high lunge. And just reach high. Grab a hold of your left forearm with your right hand. Lengthen up here. And then side bend over to your right. As you feel that foundation in your feet. The stability helps you stay grounded even though you're leaning here. And then we'll find a big twist. Left arm forward, right arm back. And then tip your left hand to the floor. Big open twist here. Maybe your hands down, maybe just fingertips. Just enjoy that. Feel the foundation through your right foot. Draw your shoulder blades together. Open through your heart. And then bring your right hand down. We'll just step back into a table. Find a couple of rounds of cat and cow here. Let your belly drop. And then tuck your tailbone really round. And find that movement symmetrically through your spine. And then come to neutral. Feel strong through your hands. Tuck your toes and just float your knees up off the floor. Pause here in your beast. And then lift your hips up and back. Come into a downward facing dog. You can adjust the length of your dog if you need to step your feet back. We'll ripple our spine forward into a plank. So start to lean forward, lengthen out your hips, come to your balls of your feet. And then bend your knees to hover. Push your hips up and back into your dog. And then ripple forward, look forward into your plank. Hover your knees, push your hips up and back. And just move there. Let's just do one more. Hips up and back. And then come into your plank. Lower all the way to your belly. And come into a sphinx. So elbows underneath your shoulders. Arms are parallel. Let your shoulders shrug towards your ears and then push the floor away. Shoulders up and then push the floor away. And shoulders up. And push the floor away. And then find a little bit of cat and cow here. Tuck your chin as you're pushing the floor away. So you've got your shoulder blades down your back. Tuck your chin. Let your upper spine round forward. Spread through your shoulder blades. You can really draw your lower ribs in. Lift your belly. And then relax your belly to the floor. Look forward and feel like you're dragging your elbows back to bring your sternum forward. And move back and forth there. And then release. We'll do a shoulder opener stretch. So find your cactus shape arm on the floor, that right arm on the floor in that cactus shape. Bring your right cheek to the floor, look to your left, bring your left hand to the floor next to your chest, and then you can roll onto your right hip. If that is just way too much in the front of your shoulder, you can straighten your arm. And it may be a little less intense. And see if we can relax that front of your right shoulder down. And then roll back onto your belly. And we'll just switch sides. So my elbow is the same height as my shoulder. It's not back here. Look to your right, left cheek on the floor. Just relax the front of that left shoulder down. And then unwind yourself. Just bring your hands under your shoulders. Push yourself up through a table. Tuck your toes. And then sit back on your heels with those tucked toes. Use your hands if you need to recruit your toes. And then open your arms to a cactus. Feel that opening through your chest. And then give yourself a hug with right elbow underneath. And stay there or wrap. Bring the backs of your hands together or bring your fingertips into your palms, shoulders out of your ears, and broaden through your shoulder blades behind your back. Stretch through the bottoms of your feet. And then release your arms, come on up. You can wiggle your toes a little bit, maybe stretch out your feet, and then we'll come back down, open your arms to a cactus, left elbow underneath this time. And if it gets to be too much, you can definitely just come off your heels and find your eagle pose. You can stay with your hug. You can bring your back of your hands together, your fingers into your palm. Let's take one more round of breath. Release that. Untuck your feet. You can circle out your ankles. And then with untucked toes, you can sit on your heels. Maybe bring your fingertips behind you and lift your knees to stretch the tops of your feet. Release. And just make your way to your downward facing dog. Bring your hands forward. Step back. Pedal that out. And then feel the foundation in your dog. Feel the responsiveness of your hands into the floor and the feedback you get from your hands up through your shoulders and into your back. And you can experiment with what feels integrated in your shoulders. You can think of pulling your hands toward each other, like squeezing your hands toward each other without moving them anywhere. Feel the feedback and strength up through your arms and in your shoulders. You can find a little more weight on the pinky edge of your hands. Maybe claw your fingers into the floor. And then lengthen up through your sitting bones. Let your knees feel pretty soft as you drop your heels toward the floor, and then soften your front low ribs in. Come onto your tippy toes, look forward, bend your knees, make your way to the top of your mat. Find your parallel feet there. Inhale, halfway lift, and exhale to fold. Inhale yourself all the way to standing, reach high. And then exhale your hands to your heart. Sit down into your chair and cross your right ankle over that left knee. Just sit here in your figure four. Really flex through that right foot. Send that right inner groin back. And then uncross, you'll send that right leg behind your left out to the side. And then push into your left heel to come on up. Find your figure four again. Cycle through these at your own pace. And just back and forth. Really feeling the foundation in that left foot. As your weight shifts, right, that connection of your heel to the ground really brings you some stability. Next time you get to your figure four, just pause there. And then you'll take your right foot back into high lunge. And settle into your high lunge. You can reach your arms high. Ground through that right big toe. And lift through your left arch. Grab a hold of your right forearm with your left hand. And then lengthen over to your left. Find that side bend there. And a little lift of your chin. Open through your heart. And then open into a twist. Right arm forward, left arm back. Tip your right fingertips or hand to the floor. And find your big open twist here. Bending through this right knee. And then your left knee. Lengthening your left outer hip back. Take one more breath there. And then left hand down. Just step back into a table. Find some cat and cow. Just let your spine neutralize here and be symmetrical. Find a neutral spine. Tuck your toes if they aren't already. Hover your knees. And just pause there. Your knees are like 1.5 inches or 2 inches off the floor. And even like we did in our downward facing dog, feel the foundation of your hands. Let your shoulder blades be spread apart and feel that feedback of stability from your outer palm up the backs of your arms, through your triceps, your shoulders. Feel that in your back. And then lift your hips up and back. Roll yourself forward into your plank. Look forward. Bend your knees to hover, push your hips up and back. And let this be an exploration of your wrists and your shoulders, your core, your hips, your knees, your ankles. You just kind of churn in this wave. Come forward to your plank. Lower yourself all the way to your belly. Bring your hands into Sphinx. And tuck your toes. Now, draw your sternum in, lift your low ribs, lift your belly, lift your pelvis, lift your thighs, come into a forearm plank. And then, just like we rolled up, roll yourself down. So bring your knees, thighs, pelvis, belly, rib cage, and then really peel your heart forward, lengthen through the back of your neck, broaden through your collarbones. And we'll pulse or flow back and forth. So really roll yourself up into your forearm plank, and then roll yourself down and peel your heart open. Let's do one more. And then we'll find that front of our shoulders stretch just for a breath or two. So right arm out to that cactus, look to your left, and roll onto your hip, or even just barely lean some weight over to your right. And then switch sides. Straight arm is always an option. Back to center. Hands under shoulders. Come up to your table. And then back to stretch your feet. Open your arms into a cactus. Right elbow underneath. Hug or eagle arms. And breathe. And we'll go right into the other side. Open. Left elbow underneath. Hug or eagle. Release your arms. Untuck your toes. You can wiggle out. And then sit on your heels. Bring your fingers behind you. Draw your shoulder blades together. And this time just lift your hips first. Find a baby camel. And then you can lower your hips. Keep that opening through your chest. And then maybe float your knees. And then shins back to the floor. Walk your hands forward. Find your downward facing dog. And return to that foundation. Let's pay attention to our feet this time. Your heels may not come to the floor. That's totally fine. Feel your big toe ball mound, pinky toe ball mound. And feel the feedback from your feet up your legs. Find some softness in your knees. And then send your inner thighs back. Push into your hands, maybe lengthen through your spine. And then play with lifting your toes. So really engaging through the fronts of your ankles, your shins. Working on that ankle dorsiflexion. And then release that effort. Soften your knees. Send your inner thighs back. And then maybe drop your heels a little closer to the floor. And come up onto your tippy toes. Actually, just from here, you can drop your heels back down. Lift your right leg up behind you. And then step your right foot right behind your right wrist. Ground your left heel. Float your hands back by your hips, and we're setting up for warrior one. Just come on up. Ground through your left heel and bend through your right knee. Draw your right outer hip back. Just enjoy this. And then left elbow underneath. Find your eagle arms or hug. And then lean halfway forward. So really ground through that right heel. Lengthen out through your left heel. Lengthen out through the crown of your head. Lean your weight forward, come onto your left tippy toes, and then float that left leg up into a warrior three with your eagle arms. And then come to standing. Bring your left knee into your chest. And then cross that left leg over your right. And you can sit back into an eagle pose. Maybe your left toes wrap around your right calf. Maybe you bring your left toes to the floor to help your balance. Maybe they just float out to the side. And just pause here for one more breath. And then unwind your legs, unwind your arms. Reach your arms high. Soften into your knees. And then think of lengthening through your back body. Just find a standing back bend here. And then exhale. Fold forward over your legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Soften your knees, plant your hands. Inhale, plank. Exhale, lower, either halfway in chaturanga or all the way to the floor. Inhale, open your heart into a cobra or an upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. And think of length from your pinky fingernail up through your hip creases. Spread your shoulder blades on your back and rotate your triceps toward your face. Lift your left leg up and back, and then exhale to place that left foot behind your left wrist, and then ground your right heel. Float your hands back by your hips and feel really strong through your foundation here. Push into this left heel to come on up into your warrior one. Ground through that right heel, bend through your left knee, and then just draw your left outer hip back. And then lift that lower belly. Right elbow underneath, hug or eagle arms. And then lean halfway forward. Lengthen from that right heel out through the crown of your head. Ground firmly into that left heel. And then lean forward, come onto your right tippy toes. Float that right leg up to your warrior three with your eagle arms. And then come to standing with your right knee into your chest. Just balance. And then cross that right leg over your left. You can tuck your toes. You can let your toes float. Use your toes as a kickstand. Just wring yourself out. So resist your legs into each other. And resist your arms into each other. And take one more breath in your balance. And then unwind your legs. Unwind your arms. Feel really stable through your foundation. Reach your arms high. You can soften through your knees. Find your standing back bend. Don't crunch through your lower back. So feel like you're lengthening out of it. And then come up. Standing forward fold. And just breathe there. Find softness in your knees. And then send your inner groin back. So it's like you're squeezing a block between your inner thighs and pushing it back behind you to find some space in the back of your pelvis and your lower back. Inhale, find a halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale through plank. Exhale, lower halfway or all the way. Draw your shoulder blades together. Inhale to open your heart. Upward facing dog or cobra. Lead with your belly. Use that lower belly to draw you up and back to downward facing dog. Bring your knees to the floor. Cross your ankles behind you. And then just come back into a seat. Take your legs out in front of you with your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor. And then bring your hands behind you to lengthen your spine. Take your right foot and cross it over your left knee. And then, again, find some length through your spine. So don't flare those low ribs out. You can soften your low ribs down, but then length through your lower back. Closer you walk your hands towards your bum, the closer you walk your left heel towards your bum, the more intense this is going to be on your right hip. So just find a place that's interesting, and you can even rock a little from side to side. Just stretching through that right hip. And then we'll sneak this left foot over to the right and bring your right foot to the floor for a twist. Wrap your left forearm around that right knee and then resist your left knee into your right knee into your left arm, and your right arm kind of pull your arm into your knee to work on grounding that right hip bone toward the floor. And then you can twist, look over your right shoulder, and then turn your head to look over your left shoulder. Ground that right hand behind you and just slowly look back and forth. So you're using the muscle strength of those neck muscles to really turn your head slowly and mindfully to your end range of motion. Then you can look over your front shoulder, maybe nod a little. And then unwind your head. Keep your legs as they are, but unwind your body. Flex through that right foot and just float it up off the floor and move your right knee out to the right and then your foot to the left. So you're using your muscle strength and just exploring your active range of motion here. So really play with that external rotation of your knee. Prop yourself up as much as you need to move this leg. And then kind of find a neutral place and play with internal and external rotation of that hip. You're lengthening through your spine. You're just pivoting right at your hip joint. And then when that leg gets tired, you can go ahead and hold on to your outer foot with your left hand, outer knee with your right hand, and just play with some passive baby cradle. You can just hold on to your foot and knee. You could maybe hook a wrist or an elbow underneath your ankle, or you could bring that edge of your foot into your elbow crease. Just whatever is available that you can do with integrity through your spine. And then we'll take our right ankle, stack it on your left knee for Agni Stambhasana. So try to get your shins in the same line. You can use your hands back behind you as much as you want to, and then energetically use your muscle strength to draw your right knee toward your left ankle. And it doesn't have to, it may be way up here, but you just use that muscle strength, engage. And then let go of that effort. You can lead with your heart and let yourself fold forward any amount. Maybe your hands will come to your shin. think of that in integrity in the back of your lower back. So tip your pubic bone down toward the floor and send your tailbone toward the wall behind you. Stay active through your right foot, but then let yourself kind of breathe and release. If you want to change the trajectory of your heart, lean over your knee or lean over your foot. Just for the last couple of breaths here. You can experiment. Let yourself come on up, uncross your legs. You can play with windshield wipering your knees a little bit. And then we'll find that seated figure 4 with the left foot crossing over the right ankle, and really pay attention to that integrity of your spine. Closer your hands are, closer your heel is, the more intense it's going to be, but don't collapse your chest and your spine and your lower back. Really pay attention to that. You can rock a little. And then we'll tip over to the right. You can bring your right foot toward your left hip to find your twist. Ground through your left foot and then wrap your right forearm around that left knee. And hug your arm into your knee and push your knee into your arm to rotate that left hip down. Ground your left fingertips behind you. Look over your left shoulder. And then slowly, with control, look over your right shoulder. And then slowly, with control, look over your left shoulder. And really move to the end of your range of motion with your muscle strength. The next time you're looking over your right shoulder, that front shoulder, you can nod a little. And then untwist your head. Untwist your torso. Just keep your legs as they are. You can prop yourself up on your hands behind you. Flex through that left foot and then float your left foot up off the floor. And with your active strength, just draw that leg out to the side. You just keep that 90-degree bend in your knee and just move through your hip with your active strength, using your muscles, not moving it with your arms or your hands. And then find kind of a central place and play with that internal, external rotation. So you'll keep that knee bent, but you're moving, you're pivoting just right at that hip joint. So Leon, this is getting your glute med muscles and inner thigh stuff. Just building some integrity all around that hip capsule. And then you can go ahead, when you get too tired, grab your outer foot and grab your outer knee and just rock your little baby. And play with your passive range. So you can relax through your hip and just use your arms to kind of massage through there. And deepen as you want to. You could maybe hook a wrist under or elbow to your outer foot, keeping that integrity in your spine. And then we'll move into our fire log. So stack your left ankle on top of your right knee. Prop yourself up behind you so you've got integrity through your spine, and then use your muscle strength to draw your left knee toward your right ankle. And you can pulse your effort there. Again, this is active range of motion where you can use your own muscles to move yourself there. And it doesn't have to be very far, right? It's where your body goes. And then let go of that effort. Find yourself upright. Lead with your heart to let yourself fold. And think of the integrity through your lower back. And you've got some activity through this left ankle and foot, but not in a way that brings a whole lot of tension, just support. So you've got some engagement so that you've got support for your knee joint and your ankle joint. Then if you want to aim your heart in a different direction, you can experiment. Maybe take a breath or two over your knee, a breath or two over your foot. And then come on out. Uncross your legs, find your windshield wiper knees. Make your way onto your back. After those forward bends, it will probably feel good to have just a few breaths in a bridge. Draw your shoulder blades together. Keep your gaze straight up at the ceiling. Lift your hips. Lengthen the back of your spine. So think of that line from your tailbone all the way up to the base of your neck being one long curve without any hinge points in it. So you're not hinging at your lower back here. Let your lower back kind of lengthen. And find some grounding through your big toe ball mounds. And then go ahead and lower down. Hug your knees into your chest a little, and then bring your arms out to a T. Let your knees fall. Gaze to the left. And come through center. Gaze to the left, gaze to the right. And then back through center. One last symmetrical thing. Maybe hug knees. Maybe happy baby pose. And then release yourself all the way down to your back. Get your wiggles out. Arrange your shoulder blades in a way that your heart feels open and supported. Let your palms face up. And bring some awareness to all the parts of you that are connected with the floor. You can feel the backs of your heels and your calves. Feel your bum on the floor, your whole rib cage on the floor. Lengths of your arms, the backs of your hands, the back of your head. Just let those spaces spread. And let the ground support you. And feel the rhythm of your breath. I know I say this a lot, but it's something that we always need to be reminded of. The more you let go, the more you are supported. Just feel that support of the ground, the constant companionship of your breath. When we build that firm foundation, when the foundation that we build has integrity, we can withstand all the things that are happening around us. And feel free just to stay here and let yourself marinate in your practice. When you're ready, just find some wiggles of fingers and toes. And lengthen and reach your arms alongside your ears and get really long from fingertips to toes. And then roll to one side. Use your arm strength to come up. And find a smile of gratitude. Enjoy this preparation for your day. The divine light in me honors the divine light in you. Namaste. Thank you. Have a great day, friends.